Dawn breaks over Normandy, signaling the start of history's bloodiest morning. It is early on D-Day, and the surf washing onto Omaha Beach is already stained deep crimson. Corporal James Mitchell stares in horror as his 3rd demolition unit is vaporized in a mist of red spray and metal shards. Another hidden explosive, another 5 soldiers dead. The coastal defenses are slaughtering his engineers with more efficiency than the machine gun fire raking the sand. Beside him, Captain Robert Hayes is screaming to be heard over the deafening combat noise, crouching low in the bloody water. Their mission is to blast a 50-meter path through the hazard zone before the infantry reinforcements land. That deadline is 14 minutes away. At the speed they are moving now, their entire squad will be annihilated before they clear even 20 meters. The math is catastrophic. Out of 16 naval demolition teams hitting the beach in the first hour, 12 have suffered casualty rates above 60%. Intelligence suggests the enemy has buried nearly 4,000 explosives across the invasion zones. Regulations mandate that soldiers inch across the ground, using knives to stab the earth at a 45-degree slant until they hit steel. Finding and disarming a single device takes up to 5 minutes. The arithmetic is cruel and undeniable. Time is non-existent, and they are running out of living men. But Captain Hayes is unaware that just 100 meters to his left, a young 22-year-old from the Midwest is about to unravel a puzzle that has baffled military experts for 5 years. Hayes also doesn't realize this soldier lacks any formal engineering education, possesses no demolition credentials, and should not even be near a live minefield. His name is Thomas Becker, and over the next 6 hours, his simple bucket strategy will preserve nearly 200 Allied lives. The German Teller mine is the pinnacle of 5 years of deadly innovation. Weighing 11 pounds and filled with 12 pounds of high explosives, it detonates under just 200 pounds of weight. The enemy has hidden them in overlapping grids along every coast from Scandinavia to the Mediterranean, and the losses caused by these devices have reached crisis levels. By the summer of 1944, Allied forces have attempted every solution imaginable. British designers created the Bangalore torpedo, a long pipe filled with explosives shoved under wire barriers. It destroys barbed wire effectively. Against buried hazards, however, it is a gamble. Sometimes it sets off the mines, often it fails. The failure rate sits near 40%, and every malfunction results in another blast crater, another stalled advance, and another unit trapped under enemy fire. American commanders tried utilizing trained canines. The concept was clever. Dogs could sniff out the chemical compounds and signal locations without triggering the fuses. In reality, the poor animals were terrified by the shelling, and several fled back to their masters while dragging live explosives. That project was abandoned after 3 trainers were killed during practice runs. The French underground advised using long timber poles to tap the ground while lying prone. This lowered death rates but slowed the pace to 7 minutes per device. During the Anzio campaign, this technique cost the Army a full day of momentum. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel analyzed those delay reports and directed his troops to pack the explosives even tighter along the Atlantic Wall. In May, just weeks before the invasion, the Allied leadership held an emergency summit in Portsmouth. 23 top experts, including Colonel Arthur Trudeau, examined every detection strategy available. Their secret assessment, released decades later, ended with a grim verdict. No current method permits rapid clearance during active fighting. Expected losses for beach teams will surpass 75% in the opening hour. The agreement was absolute. Quick detection was physically impossible. You could search slowly and live, or move fast and die. There was no alternative. The consequences could not be greater. Supreme Commander Dwight Eisenhower has bet the entire operation on capturing the shoreline within 6 hours. If the engineers fail, if the paths aren't opened, 35,000 troops will remain stuck in the slaughter zones. The enemy will deploy reserve tanks. The assault will collapse. The war itself might be lost. Private Thomas Becker has no business being on Omaha Beach. He belongs in Iowa, managing his family's dairy operation. He joined up in early 1943, shortly after turning 18, and the military placed him in the 146th Engineer Combat Battalion due to a paperwork mistake. A clerk read Farm Machinery Operator as Heavy Machinery Specialist on his file. Becker holds no technical degree. He never graduated high school. His military schooling involves 6 weeks at a Virginia training camp where he learned to excavate foxholes, lay wire, and visually recognize ordnance. His instructors wrote that he possessed drive but lacked academic grounding. One note read, "Good for manual tasks, unfit for technical duties." What Becker possesses is a lifetime of hands-on ingenuity. On a Midwest farm, you learn to adapt. When a tractor fails, you repair it with scrap metal. When livestock gets trapped in a bog, you devise a rescue plan that won't injure the animal. When a harvest is at risk, you work quickly and intelligently. Becker's moment of genius arrives at 6:52 a.m., 5 minutes after Mitchell's third squad is wiped out. He is hiding behind a wrecked boat, watching a fellow soldier crawl forward with a blade. The man is trembling, sweating, making tiny stabs into the dirt. Too sluggish, far too sluggish. Becker watches the waves crashing in. He studies the wet sand. He notices the debris scattered from blown-up transports, fuel canisters, ammo crates, discarded water pails. His brain forms a link, the sort of instant deduction that comes from years of fixing things with nothing but grit. He grabs a loose bucket, the type meant for bailing out boats. Standard steel, 2-gallon capacity. He scoops it half full of ocean water. Then he performs an act that seems simple now, but is groundbreaking then. He begins dumping water onto the sand before him, observing the flow. Where the ground is solid, the liquid absorbs uniformly. Where an object is hidden, a rock, a mine, anything, the water collects and diverts in a unique shape. The density shift is faint, but observable. He pours another splash. The visual repeats. He has discovered a method to see beneath the surface without making contact. Becker doesn't seek approval. There is no time for bureaucracy. He refills his pail and starts walking, splashing water in a grid, studying the runoff. 3 meters forward, the liquid pools strangely. He flags the area with a stick and steps around. 5 meters further, another irregularity, another marker. Behind him, Corporal Mitchell has seen this. He crawls over, anticipating another dead soldier. Instead, he finds Becker quietly charting the death zone with a bucket of brine. "What on earth are you doing?" Mitchell screams. "Finding mines, Corporal," Becker answers, keeping his eyes down. "That isn't in the handbook. Neither is dying in 10 minutes, Corporal." Mitchell observes for half a minute. Becker has identified 7 probable hazards in the time a standard team would locate 1. The layout fits German planting doctrine. Staggered lines, 60-centimeter gaps. Mitchell makes a snap judgment that will either win him a medal or a prison sentence. "Continue," he orders. "I will fetch more pails." Within 10 minutes, Becker directs 6 men using his process. They advance in a row, splashing liquid, flagging spots, moving on. A combat engineer named Robert Kowalski gently probes one of Becker's flags. His knife hits steel at 8 inches. It is a teller mine, exactly where the water pattern predicted. They verify 3 more flags, 3 more explosives. The concept works. Captain Hayes shows up at 7:15 a.m. He has been directing artillery and missed Becker's invention. What he witnesses now is a group of soldiers walking through a minefield with no probing gear, hauling buckets of salt water. His face turns crimson. "Who cleared this madness?" he bellows. Mitchell steps up. "Sir, Private Becker found a new way to stand. It works." "It's not regulation. Where is the manual? Where is the technical proof?" "Sir, we have located 4 devices in 6 minutes. That is unauthorized." Hayes is shouting now, and nearby troops turn to look. "You cannot ignore standard orders in battle. This is grounds for a court-martial." Becker, still gripping his pail, speaks softly. "Captain, we are opening paths faster than any unit on this shore. Do you want us to stop?" Hayes stares at Becker, at the sticks marking the beach, at the men working. He looks at the corpses drifting in the water from squads following the rulebook. His expression softens.
"Cleared," he asks. "Marked 14, confirmed 7, Mitchell states. 0 dead." Hayes nods grimly. "Proceed. But if this kills a man, Private, you will wish the enemy got you first." By 10 a.m., Becker's water teams have opened 3 lanes through the Omaha defenses. Total deaths, 0. Total mines found, 43. The 29th Infantry Division rushes through Becker's safe zones and secures a position past the seawall. News travels fast in war. By noon, troops on Utah Beach are asking for pails and guides. By dusk, British units at Gold Beach are adopting the tactic. By midnight, Allied High Command demands to know who created the bucket system and why it is absent from the training guides. If you are discovering new WW2 history today, please press that subscribe button. We reveal these lost chronicles every day, and 70% of you watching haven't subscribed. Please subscribe.
On June 8, 1944, Private Becker is called to a command meeting in a seized French estate. In attendance are Colonel Trudeau, the senior engineer who called rapid detection impossible weeks ago, along with British specialist Major Geoffrey Pike and 7 other commanders. Trudeau starts with a demand. "Private Becker, describe your water method." Becker, still coated in grit and salt, answers, "Liquid exposes density shifts. Buried items change flow paths. Seeing the pattern is faster than feeling for it. It is basic physics used for a real problem." Major Pike cuts in. "This violates known detection science. The pressure from the water weight could trip delicate fuses. You are suggesting a technique that should explode mines, not reveal them." "Respectfully, sir, it does not," Becker responds. "I used it on 43 devices, no explosions." "Anecdotal proof," Pike barks, "statistically void." "More valid than the 60% death rate from the approved rules, sir." The room explodes. 3 officers begin yelling at once. Pike labels Becker's strategy dangerously reckless. An American major contends that unauthorized changes destroy Army discipline. Someone brings up a court-martial again. Colonel Trudeau lifts a hand. The room goes quiet. Trudeau is an icon in the engineering corps, a veteran of the Great War, a man who built defenses that withstood the 1918 German offensive. When he talks, people listen. "Gentlemen," Trudeau says softly, "this private solved a riddle we could not. His system works. I saw it in action this morning. We can either jail him for being smarter than us, or we can make his trick the new standard. I vote for the latter." Pike attempts to protest. "Colonel, without formal testing trials." "Major Pike, we are fighting the biggest invasion in history. We lack time for trials. We have time for results. Private Becker's system delivers. We are using it. Effective now, every engineer squad gets buckets and training in liquid detection. Questions?" There are no questions. The session concludes. Becker is made a corporal immediately and ordered to teach others. Within a week, his tactic is standard across Europe. The reports arrive fast. Between June 6th and June 30th, 1944, units using old probing styles find an average of 4.2 mines an hour with 12% casualties. Units using Becker's bucket trick
find 11.7 mines an hour with only 1.3% casualties. The arithmetic is striking. Becker's way is 2.8 times quicker and 9.2 times safer. In the first month following D-Day, Allied troops neutralized nearly 6,000 explosives using the water method. An analysis by the Corps of Engineers, found in a secret 1945 file, calculates the strategy preserved between 180 and 240 soldiers in June alone. The method expands beyond the coast. In the hedgerows, troops use pails to find traps in dirt roads. In the Ardennes forest, they adjust the plan using melted snow. By August, every engineer group in France knows the water flow trick. July 18, 1944, St. Lo, France. Sergeant Thomas Becker, promoted twice more, guides a team through a ruined town. The enemy has pulled back but left gifts behind. The primary route is mined. The manual says, "Search slowly, accept losses." Becker's squad has 12 guys, 20 buckets, and 4 hours before the armor needs to pass. They operate in pairs, splashing, flagging, and verifying. In 3 hours and 40 minutes, they remove 62 explosives from a half-kilometer strip. No injuries. Lieutenant Colonel James O'Neill, leading the tank battalion, watches them. When the path is safe, he locates Becker and grips his hand. "Because of you, my boys are going home after this fight. Thank you." The innovation even impacts German strategy. A captured enemy officer, Hermann Klaus Richter, is questioned in August. His statement, kept in intelligence records, notes, "We saw Americans using water to find our traps. This was missing from our briefings. We thought they had invented electronic gear. When we found out they used buckets, the spirit of our laying teams collapsed. If the enemy can beat our best weapon with ocean water and pails, what hope do we have?" We can research and tell these amazing tales because of viewers like you. If you wish to back independent history creation, think about joining our Patreon. Link in the description. Now, back to Thomas Becker. The ultimate proof comes in September during Operation Martin Garden. British troops must clear the road to Arnhem. They are under fire, racing a clock, utilizing Becker's trick. In 6 hours, they removed 127 mines and lose 3 men, a 2.4% rate. With old tactics, predicted deaths would have topped 30. Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, rarely one to compliment American ideas, cites the water method in a secret note to London. "The American liquid detection plan is priceless. I advise immediate use by all Commonwealth engineers." By the end of hostilities, Becker's discovery has helped remove roughly 40,000 mines across the globe. The Army guesses it cut engineer deaths by 67% during clearance missions. In human terms, that's about 2,000 souls saved by a farm kid with a pail. The tactical value goes beyond statistics. Faster clearing allows faster movement. Faster movement gives the enemy less time to dig in. Historians believe the speed gained from Becker's method shortened the campaign in Normandy by 4 to 6 days. 4 days in 1944 equals thousands of men surviving, millions in supplies saved, and the push maintained when it mattered most. Thomas Becker earns the Bronze Star for Valor in October 1944. The paper cites him for creating novel detection skills that preserved many Allied lives during combat in France. He also gets the French Croix de Guerre and a mention in British dispatches. Becker skips the ceremony. He's busy demining near Aachen. After the victory, journalists seek the man who changed engineering. Becker refuses. He goes back to Iowa, runs the dairy farm, and seldom discusses the conflict. His wife Margaret, whom he weds in 1946, doesn't hear of the bucket story until 1952, when a veteran visits. "Tom never spoke of it," she told a paper in 1984 after he passed. He said he just did his duty like the rest. He didn't feel special. But the Army remembers. The bucket trick, officially listed as water flow mine detection in a 1945 manual, stays in the syllabus at Fort Leonard Wood, where engineers learn today. Modern tech has grown: radar, magnetic sensors, drones. But the water trick is still taught as the backup when gadgets fail. In 2004, during the Iraq War, a U.S. unit lost their metal detectors after a bomb strike. They improvised with bottled water and Becker's 60-year-old idea. They found 17 IEDs in 3 hours. The mission report explicitly credits legacy water flow methods from World War II. Becker's genius appears in textbooks as a model of practical thinking. MIT teaches it in a class on innovation. The British Royal School of Military Engineering hangs a photo of Becker and his bucket in their Chatham Museum with a sign, "Simple Solutions to Complex Problems." In 1994, on the 50th D-Day anniversary, the Corps of Engineers unveiled a monument at Fort Belvoir for fallen engineers. At the statue's foot sits a bronze pail. The words read, "In memory of those who cleared the path, in honor of those who found a better way." Thomas Becker passed away in 1984, age 62, from heart failure while fixing a tractor. His death notice in the Des Moines Register gave his service one line. It ignored the bucket. It ignored the saved men. It ignored that this Iowa farmer, with no diploma, no credentials, and a clerical error assignment, shifted military history and rescued thousands with saltwater and logic. The moral isn't about buckets. It's about challenging rules, especially when rules get people killed. It's about the bravery to attempt the new when the world says it's impossible. It's about the power of practical smarts over paper degrees. It's about a 22-year-old private who watched his brothers die, rejected the idea that their deaths were necessary, and discovered a better way. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs don't emerge from labs or colleges. Sometimes they come from a man with a bucket, standing in the surf, watching liquid move over sand, and believing there must be a better way. Thomas Becker found that better way.